you're all good in
Yep.
distance, if you want to move closer because you really want to see, that's fine too. But
Okay.
if you're good where you're at, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be doing my sketching with a paint. It could have been done with a brush, but I'll do it with a paint. You'll see it further away, and that'll be fine. So what I'm going to do is, there's many things I could do. But I'm just at this time I'm going to start with the darkness of the tree. I think in my example I might have started off with something a little different, but today I'm just going to do with the tree. I'm just going to follow my example right here, and so I'm just going to get an idea of where it lives. I'm not going to worry about anything too particular, because the biggest thing when you're doing a painting, any painting, is you want to get rid of the white space. So I'm just doing this very, very thin because I'm just using it as a bit of a guide. Let's say my horizontal line here. What's that?
What are you thinning it with?
Oh, I'm just pushing my brush down because I already have oil into it. So this is about where this is, and then it's the reflection, the mirror image is about right here. So I got my horizon line, and then in the background I have some trees that are going on in here that are living somewhere about right there. Now for me, sometimes someone can have more of a sketch, but that's good enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to get some of these colors down. Even though these are going to be darker and I can go ahead and add the black, my impressionist black later, for right now, it's just going to use this green in here. Because I don't want to commit that dark just yet. I might want to change some things. So I'm going to add some in here. Now I'm going to get more and more impressionistic with my brush strokes later, but right now I'm kind of just staining the surface. Kind of the shape going on here, or I might even take this down later, but I'm going to see if I can get away with it. I was going to bring this down, but it would add too much of a shadow and then we wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. So it's kind of, I've been starting off kind of thin because I'm trying to get an idea. I'm not committing all the way through, but you'll see that I'm working very rapid and I want to get these colors in here. I'm not going to worry about blending. I'm just really, it's kind of like a sketch. I'm going to work to my warm green, which is now that color I put down was chrome green, and that's a cold green, so that's why I'm using it for the shadows. The sap green is a warm green, and if you have the cold next to warm, the warm is going to look like it's going to jump forward much easier. So that's why we have different values rather than just add a dark to one green or a light to one green and make different values. It's better to have colors that are going to be very complementary to one another. So I'm just adding some of this down in here. I even have a little bit of cerulean blue mixed in something, and I'm going to have it in these areas right in here, just to give myself a little bit more depth. It's fun when you're painting like this because it's like, wow, this is just a bunch of scribble. It's like anyone would be like, gosh, I can do that. And that's like, well, that's kind of like the whole point. It's like a lot of times it's too easy to get into a picture and you want to be too refined in the beginning, but then it takes you a lot longer and you're less likely to make experiments because you got some time invested into it. But keeping it, you can imagine Monet's going against the light. Things can change. You go out to the field with his adopted daughter Blanche, and they'll do several different pictures all in one morning, and you keep on going back every morning until all the series are completed. So he's working very rapidly, And to keep people away from him, he has a couple of greyhound dogs, and he would sick them on people, is how some of the letters go. If you were getting close, so you think, oh, you got this, you know, little impressionist guy out there, and it'd be really fun watching him. He would get very irritated about that. He was also considered a very physical painter because he would be painting out in really, you know, winter conditions under a great deal of cold. He'll be in the summer down in the Mediterranean, and he'll be sweating along. So he really put himself out there in the elements. Later on, when he got a little older, like when he did his cathedral paintings, he was actually painting in a shop window, and he didn't have to be out in the elements at all. And his gardens, well, he just go out his back door, and everything is just right there. He didn't have to be quite as experimental as he was in the past. Now, I'm keeping in mind that the colors I'm back in here are going to be a lot more washed out, so they seem like they're in the atmosphere. But I'm just adding a little bit of the color since I have it on my brush. I'm going to grab some of this blue. I have it on everyone else's, but it's a cerulean blue that I mixed up with some of the ultramarine. And I'm only doing this because it has a bit of a warm blue to it, and mixing with some of the green will cause things to really kind of jump out nicely. So I'm just putting that some right here. I can always just add it with a little bit of the green, a little bit more. Right now, everything is going to remain very abstract until I get everything filled in, and then I can start adding more details. But it'll go way, way quicker for you by moving at this. Well, I don't expect everyone to really quite do this rapid because it takes time, you know, just experimenting and getting used to working with paint, but relatively. And it makes it a lot easier to start seeing some things once you start getting into it. I gave some white here that doesn't have any oil in it at all. The white I used is underpainting white, so it's different by titanium. And you want to make impasto marks very easy with this. If you put oils in it, yeah, they can last for a long time. But it's a nice thick white that doesn't yellow, doesn't crack, which I like things for longevity. And now you don't have to worry about adding gels or beeswax to ever come up with a thick white texture because it's the nature of the paint. I'm just adding some of that greenish blue back in here because it's a light color. Just to start getting some background, though I'm going to add some purples into it. So I'm just adding just a little bit here. I feel like this could be a Bob Ross moment where I got to talk about my lovely little happy tree back here.
We took some Bob Ross classes here. They were fun.
That, I would imagine, very much so.
The paintings were awful. We had copies.
Yep, there's always a nice place for those paintings in the trash.
Yeah, exactly. Like children were scared. Did not want them in a cottage.
But it does, you know, it's fun when you know you can just throw something away. And then you actually learn something from it, and yet at the same time, you don't have to be embarrassed. It doesn't have to be kept around. It's kind of like shooting photography. Sometimes you take a picture, you feel like, gosh, now that it's developed, I feel like I have to hang on to it. It's difficult to throw away from a photo. But it's like, well, it wouldn't have existed in the beginning if you never, you know, photographed anything. So getting a little more of an idea here. I'm going to be jumping to some purple because I want to get that in there. So it's great, nothing intimidating here yet. It can just look like it's a big mess. I'm not worrying about too much about washing my brush at this point because a lot of those colors are kind of, they're going to be colliding into one another anyways. I'm going to use the cooler color, which is a mauve blue shade. The cobalt purple is a warmer color. So I could have gone with either way, but since I'm looking at the colder one is going to be kind of underneath, I'm just working with that one first. So that's my logic behind it.
Is that also the darker one? that you're-
Yeah, it looks darker. Because the trick with all this impressionist paint and how they're painting them up, it's really just a variety of different colors that are involved in it. But there's still a sense that you can chunk things out in the beginning.
Are you using the cerulean or the lavender?
I'm using that mauve that looks like lavender.
The deeper one?
Yeah, the deeper one, because that's the colder purple. And I'm just doing that at the base here a little bit. I did some green in here, just only because there is some green mixed in it. But for the most part, when you get back here in the morning light, you're getting a lot of purples that are going all around. So I'm just mixing some of those in here. A little probably in here. Now imagine doing this, like Monet will be out sometimes on a river in his studio boat, so he keeps the sun out. The Impressionists, when they would go out, they would wear black because that would not reflect the sun, and they would try to have something, maybe an umbrella or something. They would try to paint underneath some shade because the sun would blow out all the colors.
How do they keep bugs and dust and leaves from getting in their beauty?
Well, if you look at Monet when he was in 1870, he just got married to his wife and went over to England just before the Prussian War. And he was doing plein air pictures on the beach. If you look at those paintings today, there's sand embedded into the painting. If you look at paintings, there's a painting about 3 years ago that was discovered from Monet that had a grasshopper stuck in the paint. So the elements are right there. Even Monet, who was influenced by Monet, went out to the beach himself and did some pictures, and there's sand stuck in his picture, which is really great because it's like the elements are now in there. Now I'm adding some of this in a horizontal technique. I'm just getting some of what's going to be for the water later on, and getting something that looks like water, kind of going back and forth. So I'm adding some of the cool purples in that before I move to into the warmer purple one for that cobalt violet. Now I can shape up the trees and get more of the reflection in there, but I don't mind. I'm being loose. I can always change anything at any time, but at least I know this is going to look very naturalistic.
Are you leaving the light at the horizon on paint?
I am leaving a little open right here at the moment because I'm going to come back and paint with the white, but I'm just setting up some of the blue right here, making my life a little bit easier. So I'm not going to really blend. I'm not still considering this a blend. I'm just depositing color, but I'm doing it in a way where it looks a little more natural. So I'm getting that in there. Yeah, I won't put anything in there yet. What I'm going to do is jump to this cobalt violet. I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it because I'm just going to use this as my background. I'm going to make this a little warmer and just lighten it up a little bit. This is one of those times where I'm going to borrow someone's oil here just a little bit because I didn't get mine, because I don't have any oil mixed in with the white, and I just want that to flow just a little better than it is.
There's a little yellow at the top of this paint, isn't it? In that cloud.
It can. It looks kind of peachy.
Looks kind of like a little yellow then.
What you can do now or later, you can add a tinge of the yellow to the cobalt violet and add some white to lighten it up, and that will make it look a little warmer.
put a little yellow up there, because there's some yellow in
Yep.
there.
You can just, as long as you get just a little bit of mixture, because there's a lot of the colors in here.
All right.